Ann Carter, the acting chairman of the National Endowment for the Arts, and the 194th meeting of the National Council on the Arts is now in session. I would like to welcome everyone this morning, council members, our NEA staff, and our partners at the West Virginia Department of Arts, Culture, and History. I also want to thank our hosts, the West Virginia State Museum, for inviting us to use this beautiful facility today. We're thrilled to be here in Charleston. For the record, the council members who are present today are attorney, musician, and former member of Congress Paul Hodes from Concord, New Hampshire, urban planning and community policy specialist Maria Rosario Jackson from Los Angeles, California, arts patron and trustee Charlotte Kessler from Columbus, Ohio, arts administrator Maria Lopez de Leon from San Antonio, Texas, dancer, choreographer, and teacher Ronnie Ramaswamy, producer, actor, and writer Diane Rodriguez from Los Angeles, California. And joining us on the phone this morning, our violinist and music educator Aaron Dworkin from Ann Arbor, Michigan, music professor and arts administrator Emil Kang from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, organic farmer and author Mas Masumoto from Delray, California, and museum director Olga Viso from Minneapolis, Minnesota. We regret that some council members couldn't make this trip, and they include Bruce Carter, Lee Greenwood, Deepa Gupta, Rick Lowe, Barbara Prey, and Tom Rothman. Now, it is my great honor to introduce Commissioner Randall Reed Smith, curator of the West Virginia Department of Arts, Culture, and History. He and his team have worked tirelessly to make our meeting here today possible. We're honored that Randall will open today's meeting with the rendition of the national anthem. Please join me in welcoming Commissioner Randall Reed Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise as we have the posting of the colors by the West Virginia Air and Army National Guard. Please remain standing for the national anthem, followed by the pledge. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. Welcome to West Virginia, and we are honored to host the first meeting of the National Council on the Arts in over 27 years outside of our nation's capital. We also welcome the National Endowment of the Arts, and nobody can welcome us better than our own Madam Senator. You need to know that the building you're sitting in right now, her father built as governor. He loved the arts, and we love you, Madam Senator. Please welcome the Honorable United States Senator, Madam Shelley Moore Capito.
Thank you, Randall, and thanks for your powerful rendition, as I always love to hear, of our national anthem. And welcome to all of you. I understand you've been on a whirlwind. I'm glad you're here in West Virginia after 27 years. I hope not all 27 years in D.C., because a day feels like 27 years in D.C. Sometimes. It's wonderful to see my former colleague, Paul Hodes from New Hampshire. We served together in the United States Congress, and as every former member, Paul looks younger, happier, and healthier. So it's very good to see you. Marianne, thank you for your leadership, and thank all of you for coming to our beautiful state, and thank you for joining us. And it is great to be here in the Culture Center. My father, when he was governor in the 70s, had a vision of a small state governor, and I think you all probably, as advocates for the arts, know how important the arts are and to the culture and the preservation and the tradition and the lore of a small state. It really weaves you together and binds you together. And he had a vision that this was something that was very important, but as you can tell, it's a pretty auspicious sort of dream that he had, and the newspaper wasn't quite sure that this money was going to be well spent or that he even had the money. My father's name was Arch Moore, so the big story about my father in this building was they were razzing him about building it and his grandiose ideas and how does he think he can get this done. And when they were constructing the building, it was constructed, and on the outside it has the items of interest to the building. And the first thing of items of interest are the archives. So he has them go out and just write ARCH and then has them stop for a week. And they go, the newspaper, I knew he was going to name this building after himself. What is he doing? And he had a good time with that. But it's certainly stood the test of time. And with Randall's leadership here, I'm just amazed at the World War I exhibit, the Senator Randolph collection through archives. We had the Librarian of Congress here 2 or 3 months ago and had a wonderful visit with her. So we're very proud of that, and very proud of the role that the arts play in our state, whether it's the visual arts, the music. Here I'm getting out of my league, but whatever kind of art it is, it still does bind us together, and it's something we're very exceedingly proud of. So I'm going to put my senator hat on here, and I want you to know, as a council, but also those who are listening, that the National Endowment for the Arts and the National Endowment for the Humanities over the last several years was under some budgetary restraints, particularly in the president's budget. And I joined with my fellow senators very early on to say that we need to fund the NEA and the NEH robustly, and have accountability, yes, and transparency, but the grants that you all grant down and to the individual states are so vitally important. They multiply the dollars throughout our communities, and they enable us to keep that weaving of our communities and all of the good things that the arts do for us. It's a preservation, and it's an enrichment, it's an education, and it's a good release for all of us here in the country. So I'm always going to be in your corner to be somebody who believes strongly in how absolutely vital the arts are to us as a culture, and as we bring along our next generation, which I see a few of our next generation here, our next generation, that we leave that great legacy to them. So I'm going to help you do that. Thank you for what you do. Thanks for coming to West Virginia. As you can see, probably over the short time that you've been here, The pride we have in our state is immeasurable. I know you've been here before because we met in the green room here at the Culture Center, Tom, but and so we're really proud to show it off. And thanks for being here and making us a part of your lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Senator. As I always say, you're the best. Now, please make welcome from Senator Manchin's office, Brian Allowies.
Good morning. My name is Brian Allowies, and I'm very happy to be here today on behalf of your United States Senator Joe Manchin III. Unfortunately, Senator Manchin had a prior obligation, was unavoidably and regretfully unable to be with us today. However, I know he very much wanted to be, because I know Senator Manchin has been and always will be a tireless, fearsome advocate for the arts. And to show a small token of his appreciation, he sent me over here with a video greeting, and I think we're going to try and play that for you at this time.
Hello, I'm Senator Joe Manchin. I'm honored to welcome each of you to West Virginia for the meeting of the 193rd National Council on the Arts. I also want to thank Randall Reed Smith for all the work that he's done for the arts community in West Virginia. Today is an opportunity to celebrate the tremendous role the arts play in our communities and showcase how we can continue to foster creativity. I invite you to take the time to share creative ideas, learn what others are doing, and to meet our key national art leaders as we highlight the wonderful programs from around our great state. It is well known that art holds a special place in our home state of West Virginia. It binds our communities together, it showcases the beauty of our state, it inspires new ideas, encourages creativity from our state's youth, and as we know in West Virginia, the arts is the window to our soul. When I was governor and with the First Lady leading the charge, we did more to support and fund the arts in West Virginia than at any other time. We worked with VH1 Save the Music Foundation and the National Endowment for the Arts to bring music education programs and funding to West Virginia. Also, when I was governor, the Save the Music Foundation committed to award music education grants to schools in every county, and the NEA invested more than $6 million in our state. Also, during my tenure, we worked diligently to promote and protect funding for the arts because we know it preserves our culture and traditions, and it inspires our children and young adults. And I continue to give my wholehearted support to the arts in the United States Senate. Someone once said, art enables us to find ourselves and lose ourselves at the same time. The arts can challenge our kids to express themselves, think outside the box, and learn in innovative ways. We know that children who are involved in school arts programs are more likely to stay in school, graduate high school, and attend college. They are also more likely to resist peer pressure and stay away from drugs and gangs. Art also helps each one of us to experience the perspectives of other people, and we need more of that in our country right now. I appreciate the special guest performers and all those who have dedicated their time and energy to making West Virginia an even better place to call home through their contributions to the arts. I hope you have enjoyed the outstanding performances from these talented individuals. I want to thank each and every one of you, and God bless you. Thank you.
For choosing West Virginia, our beloved Mountain Mama. We hope you'll come back and visit us real soon.
Thank you, Brian. And Madam Chair, please tell the Senator thank you that when he was governor, he increased our state appropriations by 57% for the arts, 31% for historic preservation development grants, and he gave us increased funding for arts education. So as you can see in West Virginia, we are very well taken care of by both of our senators. Madam Chair, I return the gavel to you.
We are going to change things up just slightly. We will get down to business in just a moment, but some of our council members got emails this morning that their flights were canceled, so we have 2 members who are going to have to leave early, and so we are going to get to the business at hand. We are going to vote, and then each of the council members wants to take a minute to let everyone here know what this trip has meant to them. And then we'll proceed on with some updates at the agency and then the performances. So let's get down to business. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of our March council meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, great. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now we will move to the council members' votes. I would like to invite Tony Chabot, our Deputy Chairman for Programs and Partnerships, to take us through this section of the meeting.
Thank you. We'll now proceed with the application review sections of the agenda. The tally of the votes will be announced at the end of today's session. The Council will be voting by ballot today on 31 award recommendations totaling more than $3.6 million in 3 funding areas: artworks, leadership initiatives, and literature fellowships translation projects. The funding recommendations are found in the corresponding sections of your council book. Please find your ballots in the folders at your place at the table. Council members joining us via teleconference have been instructed to email their votes to Kim Jefferson in these 3 funding categories immediately at the conclusion of this part of the meeting. In order for your vote to be tallied, you must be present at the time of the motion, discussion, and vote. Council members' affiliations have been recorded in the council book and on your ballots, and each member has been provided an opportunity to update this information prior to the meeting. Before voting, council members should review the list of recommendations and rejections and add to the list provided in your folders any affiliations that are missing. Council members are recorded as not voting on applications with which they are affiliated. This list becomes part of the agency's official record. After brief summaries of the 3 funding areas, council members will have the opportunity to ask questions and/or discuss the recommendations before voting by ballot. After you have completed your ballots, staff will collect your folders and tally the votes. May I have a motion to consider the recommended grants and rejections under the artworks, leadership, and fellowship sections of the council book?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Now I'll summarize the 3 funding areas on which you will be voting. Pause for any comments or questions from council members, and then ask you to mark your ballots for each category. The Artworks category is the agency's primary category for funding for the arts disciplines and encourages and supports the following 4 outcomes. Creation, the creation of art that meets the highest standards of excellence. Engagement, public engagement with diverse and excellent art. Learning, lifelong learning in the arts. And livability, the strengthening of communities through the arts. One project is recommended for $30,000. Are there any comments or questions from the council? If not, please mark your ballot. Leadership initiatives support a wide variety of projects of national and field-wide significance. At this meeting, the council is requested to approve funding for 5 projects in 5 arts disciplines, totaling more than $3.2 million. Support is requested for an arts education initiative, the Arts Education Partnership. The Mayor's Institute on City Design, a program that assists mayors with urban design challenges, promotes design excellence and economic revitalization, and enhances the livability of communities across the country. The NEA Big Read, an initiative to enhance literature's role in American culture. The NEA Jazz Masters Fellowship, events and associated activities, and the Musical Theater Songwriting Challenge for high school students, a national program that gives high school students the chance to showcase their songwriting talents and compete for opportunity to participate in a mentorship and final competition in New York City. Are there any comments or questions from the council? If not, please mark your ballots. And finally, literature fellowships, translation projects, which support translations of poetry, prose, and drama from other languages into English. This year, 25 grants totaling $325,000 are recommended. The proposed projects will support the translation of fiction, nonfiction, and poetry from 18 countries and regions around the world, with languages such as Chinese, Portuguese, French, and Polish represented, among others. Are there any comments or questions from the council? If not, please mark your ballots. Council members on the line, you may now email your votes to Kim Jefferson. There are two 20% amendments which will support aiding arts professionals to attend a major conference in their field, and one which will support our existing Our Town grant. There are also two interagency agreements in the award updates section, which will support the agency's partnership with the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis and a project with the Department of Justice that supports artist residencies in federal corrections facilities. Thank you.
Okay, so before I proceed with updates to the agency, I'd like to just go down the row as I mentioned earlier and let each council member just give a minute to tell what this trip has meant. As Randall said, this is the first council meeting that has been held outside of Washington, D.C. in 27 years. It may be longer, but we know none before 1991, so we're not sure before that, though. But again, we're honored and thrilled that West Virginia was our first choice, and there are various reasons for that, which I'll mention later, but we're thrilled to be here, and I just wanted each council member to be able to tell you personally what this trip has meant to them. So, Diane?
Thank you. First of all, just a thank you to the senators for being here. It means a lot, your presence, and the welcome, and to Randall, of course, for his amazing host with the most. This is my first time to West Virginia. We were at the governor's home, and First Lady hosted us in a most amazing way after a very beautiful day in the surrounding area, and we went to amazing locations that were surprising. And the diversity of the artwork that we saw at the Huntington Museum, at the Clay Center, was, unexpected. And the support that your state gives to the arts and the creativity that we see, I really felt a very common bond with everyone. I felt that we were coming together oftentimes in a nation that's very, very divided, and we found a commonality, and that is creativity. And it gave me great hope. So thank you so much. This has been a lifetime experience for me and an eye-opening one, and I really thank you all for that.
Oh my goodness, you know how to do it. It has been a whirlwind. Your enthusiasm, your generosity, the thought you have put into our time here is amazing. And as Diane said, it's unforgettable. It has been truly a wonderful, 24 hours? How long have I been here?
A year.
You couldn't have done more for us, and we appreciate you, and we're grateful for your appreciation of us. So thank you all, and can't wait to come back.
Wow, this is so loud. Thank you so much for the wonderful day, all of yesterday. I go home inspired, excited, and with stronger belief in the strength of the arts. Thank you very much.
So, good morning. I just want to say that I am, in the best way, overwhelmed by your landscape, by your heart, and by your generosity and the hospitality that you've shared with us. This has been a beautiful trip. It is inspiring to see your town, your city, your rural areas, and to witness really the creativity of the people who live here and your openness to other perspectives and things from away. I hadn't been to this part of West Virginia, only the part that you guys call the Panhandle. That's what I was familiar with in the past, and it's been a tremendous experience to be here, and one that I'll share with friends and family back on the West Coast. So thank you.
Thanks. Senator Shelley Moore Capito, thank you so much for your kind words and for being here, and thanks to Senator Manchin for speaking with us. Your support for the arts is very important and manifest in everything we saw here in West Virginia. It's just been a tremendous pleasure and also a privilege to be with you. And I go back home to my home state of New Hampshire, which is comparable in size and in some ways comparable in landscape. But I'm going back with West Virginia envy because y'all do arts like nobody else's business, and you should be justly and are justly proud of your cultural heritage, the traditions that are beautiful, and the truly excellent. The excellence of your arts really is what came home to me. So Randall Reed Smith, you're a West Virginia treasure, but you're a national treasure too. So yes. Thank you all very much for hosting us.
Good morning. Buenos dias. I just want to say thank you to all of you for your graciousness, for your hospitality. It has been truly an honor to be here in your state, in your communities, to feel so inspired by the many artists, the many people that we met. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for that generosity. I come from Texas, and we're a big state, but I think you all have a big heart and a lot of creativity, and I will be back. Thank you.
Madam Chair, one of our quick inserts.
Okay.
Please make welcome from the Governor's office, our Chief of Staff, Mike Hall.
Well, it's good to be here, and it's obvious that Governor Justice, and I'll give you concrete evidence in a minute, that is very supportive of the arts, and obviously you met his wife last night. I had an opportunity to serve as finance chairman in the Senate, and I think it'll be remembered that I fought for funding like for Mountain Stage and this and that and so forth. But when we reorganized government and got rid of, and actually changed one of our agencies or our secretarial positions from education and the arts, the governor absolutely would not do that unless the arts resurfaced as its own special entity, of which this guy right here who works 36 hours in a 24-hour day, it will be leading it. So we welcome you to the state of West Virginia. We're glad you're here. I know Randall's been excited about this for a long time. He hasn't slept for 2 weeks, and he'll probably get some rest, in a few days. So welcome. I've already heard your comments on the great state of West Virginia. I had an opportunity, had to attend a meeting in the Eastern Panhandle, where I think some of you said the only place you've been, on Tuesday. So I had to take a helicopter ride from Charleston over to Ranson, which is in Jefferson County. It was an hour and 40 minutes. It's the first time. I wish everybody could do this once at 4,000 feet and see the beauty of our well-forested green mountain state. It truly is a mountain state. And to see the beauty of this place is phenomenal. So anyway, I thank you for coming here. I think you're going to continue to have your meeting and do whatever you do, but appreciate the opportunity to say a few comments for the governor. He's very supportive of what you're doing and will continue to support the arts. Thank you very much. Yeah.
And now, Madam Chair, before you give your remarks, we have a special treat for you all, our future. Our current participant in America's Got Talent, she's on to the second round. Please make welcome the sensational Sophie Fatu, and may we have a light.
More You dream make all your heart break all. Wherever you're going, I'm going your way. To drift us off to see the world. There's such a lot of world to see. We're after the same rainbows and waiting by the bank. My huckleberry friend, moon river and me. Someday, when I'm awfully alone, when the world is cold, I will feel the glow just thinking of you. In the way you look tonight, oh, but you lovely, with your smile so warm and your cheeks so soft. There was nothing for me because I love you. In the way you look tonight, with each word your tenderness grows, tearing my fears apart. And at last, the twinkles your nose touches mine full with heart. Lovely, never change. Keep that breathless charm. And won't you please arrange it, because I love you. In the way you look tonight. Just the way you look tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, the sensational Sophie Fatu, and on the piano, her mother, Victoria Fatu. Thank you. And now we do a quick change so we can get the chairman's slideshow in, and we're ready for you, okay? down the steps.
Great. Thank you. That was beautiful. Sophie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get a high five on that? You were amazing.
Yes.
Sophie, I have a Sophie, but she's older than you. But Sophies are special.
Thank you.
And a round of applause to the mom also. You just let me know what to do, Randall.
You guys have done anything?
No, we're good.
You having a good time?
Very good. So far, so good.
Well, we all should all feel home.
I might need 12 more bottles of water. Okay. Randall, may I begin?
I think
He's gone.
He left the building?
Oh, he's there. He's coming.
Elvis.
Okay.
All right, great. Okay.
We're ready for the slideshow for her.
Yes? Okay. All right, so I want to tell you about why we chose West Virginia for our National Council meeting. Over the years, there have been a number of persistent myths about the NEA. That we only fund projects in major cities, for example, or that we only fund projects that take place on the east or west coast. But the truth is, we fund projects in every congressional district in every state. We reach thousands of communities across the country every year. So while we may be headquartered in Washington, our work, our priorities, and our vision extend far, far beyond the nation's capital. One area where this is particularly evident is our partnerships. Every year, 40% of the NEA's grant-making budget is allocated to regional art organizations and state art agencies, including the West Virginia Department of Arts, Culture, and History. These organizations are among our most important partners because they understand the culture and needs of the regions and communities better than anyone. They are the boots on the ground, so to speak, and we rely on their expertise and networks to transform our investment into opportunities for all residents to participate in and benefit from the arts. And that's why we're here today, to celebrate our partnership with the West Virginia Department of Arts, Culture, and History, to see the impact of this partnership firsthand, and to invite the public to participate in all aspects of the NEA, from its grant-making projects to its decision-making process. As part of our time here, we visited a number of cultural sites in West Virginia, including the Huntington Museum of Art and the Keith Albee Theater in Huntington, as well as the Clay Center for the Arts and Sciences here in Charleston. At every stop, it's been clear the arts are thriving in West Virginia, whether it be contemporary or traditional visual art or performance. And because the arts are thriving, they're helping West Virginians thrive as well. We've heard over and over on this trip how the arts have touched lives and contributed to the economy, and how they've helped make communities across West Virginia more enjoyable and more meaningful places to call home. So again, I want to thank Randall and everyone at the West Virginia Department of Arts, Culture, and History for making this trip possible, and for giving the NEA staff and our National Council here an opportunity to gain a better appreciation for the local cultural landscape. Now I'd like to update you on events and changes that have taken place at the National Endowment for the Arts since the National Council last convened in March. One change you may have already noticed is I am not Jane Chu. Chairman Chu stepped down on June 4th, and I will be serving as acting chairman until the White House nominates a new agency head. We don't know when that will be, but for us that doesn't matter because we continue full steam ahead, business as usual. When we met in March, Congress had just approved our fiscal year 2018 budget of $152.8 million, which represented a $3 million increase over fiscal year 2017 levels. On June 6th, the House Appropriation Committee approved a fiscal year 2019 funding bill that includes $155 million for the NEA. That represents a $2 million increase over current levels. So now we're looking at a $5 million increase in 2 years. Fiscal year 2019 begins on October 1st, 2018. This gets confusing, folks, sorry. On June 12th, the Senate Interior Appropriations Subcommittee agreed to a bill that would also fund the NEA at $155 million, the same level approved by the House Appropriation Committee. The full Senate Appropriation Committee has now approved this bill. So needless to say, we are pleased that Congress recognizes, just as the Senator said, the exceptional value and impact of the NEA, and believes, just as we do, that investing in the arts benefits all Americans. I also want to tell you about a new aspect of the NEA's involvement in the recovery efforts, especially in Puerto Rico. As you'll recall, we provided emergency funding last year to state arts agencies in areas affected by Hurricane Harvey, Maria, and Irma. This included emergency funding for the Instituto de Cultura Puerto Rico, I think is the pronunciation, or ICP, which is a state arts agency for Puerto Rico. At our last meeting, Andy Mathis discussed her work in Puerto Rico, advocating for inclusion of the arts in recovery efforts. And recently, Brian Lusher, NEA's Historic Preservation Officer, deployed for a month to be the Cultural Resources Coordinator for FEMA's Natural and Cultural Resources Sector Recovery Support Function, or NCR-RSF for short, in Puerto Rico. The NCR-RSF assessed damage to and created repair estimates for the natural and cultural resources damaged by Hurricanes Irma and Maria. Furthermore, the NCR-RSF drafted courses of action to guide the long-term repair and recovery of the vast array of natural and cultural resources that are important to Puerto Ricans and the visitors who come to the island. Numerous resources were addressed, such as damage suffered by the island's national forests, coral reefs, cultural resources, including historic buildings and districts, archaeological sites, ruins, and even museum collections. Not only does FEMA assist with the repair of damage to storm-related buildings and sites, but it also provides assistance to facilities whose collections were damaged. Similar efforts are underway for the damage to cultural and natural resources on the U.S. Virgin Islands as well. Brian's efforts in Puerto Rico focused on the numerous historic properties and districts that are eligible for listing in the National Register of Historic Places, including the historic districts of San Germain, Aguirre, and Old San Juan. Old San Juan is also a National Historic Landmark and has more than 700 structures and buildings. FEMA also assessed properties that are listed in the Puerto Rican Register of Historic Places, including several dozen sites that are administered by the ICP. One facility FEMA and Brian visited was the ICP-administered Galeria Nacional, which is located in Old San Juan. The museum is located in the restored St. Iguanas Monastery. The monastery, along with the adjoining San Jose Church, is a significant work of architecture on the island. The gallery suffered major damage during the hurricanes, including pervasive black mold and the destruction of its HVAC system. However, due to the hard work of the gallery's registrars and staff, the collections were kept safe, and they've been stored in controlled conditions despite intermittent electricity immediately after the storm. Brian and the FEMA cost estimators met with one of the gallery's registrars, Laura Quinos, who is pictured here with Brian, to survey the building's damage and to view the collections. In his time in Puerto Rico, Brian joined a revolving cadre of federal government employees, including historians, architects, conservators, curators, and engineers from federal agencies, such as the National Park Service, Natural Resources Conservation Service, Department of the Interior, Bureau of Land Management, and the Fish and Wildlife Service, as well as many dedicated FEMA reservists. We are incredibly proud of Brian's work in Puerto Rico and Andy's, and we thank both of them for contributing their expertise to Puerto Rico's recovery. And I should add that after both Andy's trip and Brian's trip to Puerto Rico, the National Endowment for the Arts has been included now in many federal government disaster recovery effort groups, and that's a first for the agency, and so we're really proud of that, and really appreciate that we have other federal agencies coming to us now asking for our help instead of vice versa. Moving on, last week we announced our newest class of NEA National Heritage Fellows. This is the nation's highest honor for folk and traditional artists. This year's honorees include Palestinian embroiderer Farrell Abbasi Naim from Milwaukee, Oregon, Appalachian old-time fiddler Eddie Bond from Fries, Virginia, Anishinaabe black ash basket maker Kelly Church from Allegan, Michigan, African-American quilter Marion Coleman from Castro Valley, California, rodeo tailor Manuel Cuevas from Nashville, Tennessee, Day of the Dead altar maker Ophelia Esparza from Los Angeles, California, R&B musician Barbara Lynn from Beaumont, Texas, Franco-American musicians Don and Cindy Roy from Gorham, Maine, and traditional music and dance advocate Ethel Rame from New York, New York. Ethel is this year's recipient of the 2018 Best Lomax Hawes NEA National Heritage Fellowship, which recognizes an individual who has made a significant contribution to the preservation and awareness of cultural heritage. To celebrate these men and women, we will hold an awards ceremony at the Library of Congress on Wednesday, September 26th. The NEA National Heritage Fellowship Concert will take place later that week on Friday, September 28th at 8 p.m. And I should note that West Virginia has given us 3 National Heritage Fellows through the years. Over Memorial Day weekend, we kicked off our 9th summer of Blue Star Museums, a collaboration between the Department of Defense, Blue Star families, and participating museums. This program offers free admission to active duty service members and their families at more than 2,000 museums across the country through Labor Day. I want to thank all the museums participating here in West Virginia, including the State Museum, the Huntington Museum of Art, and the Clay Center. By opening your doors to our service members, you are giving military families an opportunity to engage with their communities after permanent changes of station, and a chance to spend precious time together. You are also tangible reminders of the rich culture that our service members have dedicated their lives to protecting. In April, we also had a number of agency events take place. The first was our 2018 NEA Jazz Masters Tribute Concert, which was held at the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts in Washington, D.C. on April 16th. This year's honorees were pianist, composer, and educator Joanne Brackeen, guitarist, composer, and educator Pat Metheny, vocalist Diane Reeves, and club owner, producer, and artistic producer Todd Barkin, who was this year's recipient of the A.B. Spellman NEA Jazz Masters Fellowship for Jazz Advocacy. As usual, it was a very special evening celebrating a great American art form. There were performances by artists such as Christian McBride, Helen Sung, Angelique Kidjo, and former NEA jazz master Eddie Palmieri. To date, almost 17,000 people have watched an archive of that evening online. In addition to the concert, other events were an NPR listening party that included conversations with the newest class of the NEA Jazz Masters, and a master class led by Diane Reeves for student jazz vocalists at Howard University. On April 23rd, we held the national finals of our musical theater songwriting challenge for high school students at the Green Space in New York City. During the event, each of our 6 finalists, which included 5 individuals and 1 duo, had their songs performed by an ensemble of professional singers and musicians. This followed 2 days of intensive workshop with theater professionals who helped students transform their submitted songs into theater-ready show tunes. As 1,300 people watched the event live, David Volpini, a junior at Chippewa Valley High School in Macomb, Michigan, was named our national champion. His song, called Day Number 1, told the story of a zombie apocalypse. He received a $25,000 school scholarship, courtesy of the National Music Publishers Association Songs Foundation. Second place went to the duo of Eliza Corrington and Braxton Carr, who are a senior and a junior respectively from the Da Vinci Academy in Ogden, Utah. They received a $10,000 scholarship contributed by BMI for their song 10 Seconds to Infinity, which follows astronaut John Glenn and his wife Annie on a journey of love and space travel. Third place was awarded to Tucker Donnellan, a senior at Berkshire School in Sheffield, Massachusetts. He received a $5,000 scholarship courtesy of the Entertainment Industry Foundation for his song Caleb's Confession. The song tells the story of Pastor Caleb, whose faith is severely challenged after seeing how the opioid crisis is impacting his congregation. Each of our other finalists received a $1,000 award, and all finalists will have their song published by Samuel French, the premier licensor of plays and musicals. On April 25th, April was a very busy month for us. On April 25th, we held our national finals for Poetry Out Loud at George Washington University in Washington, D.C. South Carolina state champion Janae Claxton was named our national winner for her recitations of poems by C.K. Williams, Jonathan Swift, and Sharon Olds. A senior at First Baptist School of Charleston, Janae had been participating in Poetry Out Loud since she was a sophomore, and she was awarded a $20,000 prize. Coming in second place was senior Nicholas Amador, a senior from the Poinaho School in Hawaii, and Hope Stratman, a senior from VJ and Angela Scott Catholic High School in Nebraska, came in third place. Over 2,300 people tuned in to watch the finale on live webcast. That concludes our agency updates. Are there any questions from the council?
I was in the folk artists that received, I didn't notice there's a man named Manuel Cuevas, who I didn't realize had received the award, and I know him because he designed all of Linda Ronstadt's costumes for a big show she did about almost 20 years ago that toured nationally, and his costumes are inspired by Mexican cowboys that were also the inspiration for outfits that Roy Rogers and Hopalong Cassidy wore. So I think it's like a really interesting, he's such a great folk artist that lives in the U.S. It's inspired by both American and Mexican tradition, and I think it's a great bridge.
And you can read more about each of the nominations on our website. He also designed a lot of Dolly Parton's.
Dolly Parton, that's right.
You can see
you can see the influence. I was going to say Dolly, that's right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Anyone else? Okay, great. Thank you. I'd like to now welcome Commissioner Randall Reed Smith back to the podium to tell us more about the West Virginia Department of Arts, Culture, and History and its changing path, and to introduce some presenters and performances.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the Chief of Staff told you, we went through a wonderful transition this year. The governor was very insistent that the arts be key to what we do here in the West Virginia. I remember when the governor was here the very first day that he served as governor, he had all the agency heads in this building, in the entire state, to come here and sit in this building, and he said, anybody can have an imagination. I want to work with creative people because creative people get the work done. And I thought, we're going to be fine, buddy. And so he went about doing some incredible things in our state. This time last year, the chief can tell you we had a $500 million hole in our budget. And that is gone, and we're probably going to finish about 30 million to the plus, and with about a 14 million surplus going into the new budget. He's invested in the arts. I hear him talk constantly about the arts as in creating stronger communities, an economic driver, and enhancing education. So I thought what we would show you today is how education builds our future arts audiences. So we now have the new Department of Arts, Culture, and History. The Commissioner of the Division of Culture and History serves as the governor's curator, reports directly to him, and we fulfill his mission for the arts. Again, we're so happy that you are here. And about 9 years ago, we made a wonderful collaboration with VH1 Save the Music Foundation. And our representative from New York has come here today to talk to you about what we've done over these past 9 years. I can quickly tell you we have $35,000 worth of instruments in 85 middle schools, each school receiving $35,000 worth of free instruments. We're in all 55 counties. That's a total of $2,975,000 free instruments, 3,290 instruments, free music books, stands, everything. And they call it the West Virginia Rebuild. And we're just so excited. We're the only state that has a statewide rebuild because they do districts. Because I had them in the very southern coalfields when they came here, and they didn't know if they were going to come to West Virginia because we had music teachers. And I said, y'all need to be like a good dentist and do some prevention before you got to do a cure. And kept on talking to them, and they said, well, we'll decide on the way back. And I said, well, listen, if you tell me you're going to find West Virginia, I'll drive you back to Charleston. This was 2.5 hours away. If not, you better start walking. And got up and walked out. And they're here in West Virginia. Chee-ho. Chee-ho finally.
Good morning, everybody, and good morning, council members and the members of National Endowment for the Arts. Thank you so much for the opportunity for me to present our foundation, VH1 Save the Music Foundation, and of course, yesterday and today, just spending time with you all, traveling through just a little part of West Virginia, as I have been to 25 out of the 55 counties myself, so that was just a small portion of the rich arts that the state offers. And as a sort of an honorary member of the West Virginian, by way of Japan and Minnesota and New York, I'm very happy to be here. So if you can bring up the PowerPoint. So this is me. So quickly about ourselves, we are a not-for-profit organization that is really dedicated to bring music and music education in public schools. We really want to enable students, schools, and communities come to the full power of being by through making music. We started out in 1997 as a public affairs initiative of VH1 Network, MTV channel, and quickly became its own 501c3 not-for-profit foundation. And since then, we have given to more than 2,000 schools in 42 states, as well as Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C., in 257 communities throughout this country. We do three things. We, of course, provide instruments, we support teachers, and we advocate for music education, which is really the sort of a three things but one thing. We really want to make sure that music education is happening in school day in public schools throughout the country. We really do believe that regardless of zip code, regardless of what kind of schools you go to, what state, what city, what district, what school, every child deserves to have a music education. So we do the instrument grant. So that means about 36 band or string or mariachi instruments to K-8 level schools. In order to receive our grants of instruments, the school has to have a certified music teacher teaching during the school day in a dedicated classroom. So nothing on the cart. Nobody's delivering the trumpets in the classroom to classroom. So, and then really empowering the teachers to do the fullest of their job so that the kids deserve the best education that they can get. We do this because we see ourselves as a part of the music education ecosystem, which is supported by so many things. Obviously, the schools and the students being the center, supported by the district leadership, principal leaderships, of course, the communities, higher education that provides the music educators and arts educators, also some of the research support, data collection supports, and also the local, national, and the city level, and the state level, and the national level philanthropy, and also the policy makers who support the music and arts education, and of course the community arts education members, that many of which are supported by National Endowment for the Arts. We believe that there are so many levels of entering points for the students to find their passion in their life. That could be a theater, that could be a drawing, that could be pottery making, that could be poetry, that could be dance, that could be music. And we really believe that a student that has a passion, has some passion, find their passion in their lives, can be the better student, can really survive the world and become the better citizen. So again, we said that in over 20 years, we've been in 40 states, Washington, D.C., and Puerto Rico, and West Virginia, being in the only state, as the curator Reed Smith mentioned, that we are making the statewide rebuild. And what the story that he shared is very true. We were basically threatened or highly encouraged to partner with the state of West Virginia, which we've never done before. And we chose to do this because of the commitment that state of West Virginia people had in every level, from the parents, from the community, the schools, the superintendents, to, of course, the state leadership. So it's really led by the Department of Arts, Culture, and History, as well as the First Lady's office. So when the Governor Manchin was here in the Capitol, and Mrs. Manchin really started to be her project, so she came with us to all of the school visits throughout the state of West Virginia. So as you can see, all of the little marks, we have given to 85 grants in every county in this state of West Virginia. And our initial goal was to be in every county, in which we accomplished that in 2016-17 school year. And now we have a renewed goal of being in every middle school in this state of West Virginia, which we are more than halfway done. So there are some pictures. This is the Collins Middle School, Oak Hill in Fayette County. Sorry. There are some happy students receiving the alto saxophones. Hardy County. Sorry. This is in Wyoming County, Mullins Middle School. This is the very first time they are holding the band concert for us, and they play the Hot Cross Buns, oldie but. And this is Independence Middle School in Raleigh County, really celebrating our grant. New band uniforms they're getting with the clarinets, and we have donated. This is in the Webster County Middle School, Senior High School. The high school actually put the marching show for us, and basically the field is in the outside of the building, and they literally march the entire street in this way. Braxton County Middle School. And then you can barely see this in the bottom, but we really are doing this because, again, the commitment from the state level, which also translates in funding. So the Randall Reed Smith really leads our fundraising efforts in locally. So Clay Center, for instance, they are mentioned as the part funder, and we match the half of the cost that we spend here. And this is a Horace Mann Middle School in Kanawha County. So this actually concludes my portion of the presentation. But again, thank you so much for everybody that are involved in this, making this possible. We are really grateful that we can be here and we can be in each student's life in some way. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chiho. Just a real quick story as they changed the stage, because we have singers coming for you. The one school with Independence High School, the school superintendent was there, and I said, oh, come on, Dr. Brown, go brag on the arts. And so they had an undefeated football team that year, and that's all he wanted to talk about was football. And I said, Dr. Brown, with all due respect, God only made football so we could have a halftime show. So we are changing the culture, too. So now what we're doing is we wanted to show you the kids, because those are the future audiences. When we started here, we held a meeting of all of our top arts organizations. What can we do to help? We wanted to create a new language to fundraise, to increase our appropriations from the legislature. What came out of that meeting was, you know, Commissioner, you need to help us create future audiences. So we were able to restart funding schools to create programs for these students, because in West Virginia, what a student does, mom and dad does, mama and papa does, Uncle Randy does. And we build our audiences by those groups. So how are we doing backstage, y'all? Okay, please make welcome from Capitol High School right up the hill, the national award-winning members of the VIPs under the direction of my dear friend, Kathleen G. Corbett. Madam Director.